Good morning, and welcome to Shade in the City. It's your girl Treese here, and of course, we are here to get into episode 65, season one, Beyond the Gates. Yeah, it's kind of ended on a somber note. Would love to know your thoughts. May have some hard conversations, unpopular opinions, but yeah, I'd love to know what you think. Just be careful in the comments and what you say and how you say it, okay? Because YouTube, they'll get you for the comments too, even if I don't say it, if y'all say it. So just try to, clean it up a little bit because we know this is a sensitive topic that we're about to get into. All right. Um, but yeah, y'all, if you haven't already, please make sure you go ahead and hit that like button. And yeah, make sure if you haven't already that you subscribe because it literally is a whole vibe over here. Okay. And let's jump right into it and let's get shady. When you cry, I cry, we cry together. Oh, hey y'all. All right. So we kick off this episode and Naomi has come over with a gift for Anita. It's an old like articulates memorabilia, little one sheet from I guess one of their performances. Anita says that they've played several venues, so she isn't quite sure. And my notes say I think that she's lying, and I would love to know what y'all think. But thanks Naomi for the thought, of course. And so Naomi tells her that she knows articulates have been on her mind, so she thought it would be a nice keepsake for her. So when she asks Anita if she likes it, Anita just gets up and walks out of the room all willy nilly. Okay. Leaving Naomi to question, well, Gran, what the hell is wrong? Okay. So when Anita comes back and back into the room and she talks about how basically, going back in the past can be sad and tells Naomi basically she breaks the news that the band is not getting back together. Okay. So Naomi apologizes and offers to like, look, let me take you to lunch, Grandma. I'm sorry. I messed up your day. Um, and Anita said, nah, you know what? I know you may know me. I know you may know me as a perfect gram, but I haven't always been that person. And so Naomi's confused, like, Gran, what's going on? And so Anita just explains, look, I'm having a rough day. I need to be able to wallow in it a little bit. And she tells her it's just the disappointment of the reunion falling apart and tells Naomi, I'll get past it. Don't worry about it. And so Naomi goes off on her lunch date with Bill. And then she goes to what looks like a secret drawer and pulls out a note. And we'll get into the note later. But that's how they get us started, y'all. Then we jump over to Bill at his office, and Tomas, he wants to talk to Tomas about the last HR committee meeting, with the ladies that were getting ready to sue him or sued him. And so Tomas lets him know that, they've moved away from wanting to have a hand in hiring after Tomas suggested that they start with smaller and less intrusive changes. So Bill is like, great job, because I don't want none of these changes to mess up how my firm operates. And so at this time, Bill is like, well, I got another project for you as well. And he's like, I want you to keep an eye on my family. So Tomas is like, so you want me to spy on your kids? And so he's like, I just need to know what's going on with my girls. He was like, but any other information that you could possibly collect that you think will be useful, do what you do. But I told you what I need you to do. Okay. And so Tomas is like, well, hold on, I'm confused because I thought you and Naomi had made up after the whole, lawsuit situation. And he was like, nah, they real mad at me after I got caught up in Ted's bull. And his side piece ratted me out. So yeah, nah, they her and Chelsea ain't talking to me no more. They giving me the cold shoulder right now. So then he wants Tomas. He's like, look, I just want you to get a little intel, so I can get back in my daughter's good graces. So Bill tells him, I feel like you dating Kat, it should be easy because Kat doesn't have a filter and her favorite subject is her. And I said, okay, so clearly it's very well known. I gotta hit my really big. Kat, you might be self-absorbed, girl. The jury, I, eh, is coming back like 9 to 12. That you might be maybe 10 to 12. That you might be a little self-absorbed, sis. Just saying. But Tomas reluctantly agrees, okay? So now we see Haley. She shows up at Danny's house unannounced and lets herself in. And I said, oh, this is just what we do beyond the gates. Clearly. Okay. And she shows up with a positive pregnancy test in hand. Now, I think I saw on Blue Sky that people were mentioning or upset at the fact that she showed up with a pregnancy test in hand and it wanted a plastic bag or and that people were just like, is that you just walk around and then she just put it back in her purse and is just ready to pull it out at any moment. I was like, I guess that is a little weird, huh? Because I never walked around toting my pregnancy test. I guess I can't, I don't know, but knowing the OCD and cleanliness in me, I can't imagine that I'm just walking around with a pissy stick in my purse. Okay. Just my thoughts. So now Danny tells her that coming over there waving a pregnancy test in her face reeks of desperation. And Haley said, look, I'm willing to bow down if Naomi and Chelsea will recognize their little brother or sister. And so Danny tells her, look, I don't believe you pregnant. Okay. Whatever salt you trying to sell, I'm not a slug. I'm not doing it. Okay. So Haley's like, well, look, you don't have to accept it, but I just want to be able to enjoy the morning sickness and being tired and just all the things that come with pregnancy without dealing with your chaos, Danny. Did I nail it? Did I nail it? Y'all let me know. Give me a 1 if I nailed it. Give me a 2 if it's no. But I think I nailed that. Anyway, so Danny accuses Haley of buying a positive pregnancy test online. And I love when Haley clocked her, and I gotta give Haley her things in this one. She said, you do know a whole lot about faking a pregnancy. And I said, she does. Unfortunately, Danny seems to know a lot more than I feel like she should know. Anyway, now, so then Danny goes as far as to challenge or dare Haley to go take a pregnancy test at the house in front of her. So I guess they planned, or she was like, oh, we can have it, DoorDash, Uber Eat it, or whatever, because they go to the drugstore too now. And yeah, we can have them bring it right over here. And you can pee on the stick in my bathroom. And Haley said, look, what I'm not doing is spreading it wide and squatting in your bathroom. And I love when Danny said, it ain't like you ain't spread it wide in other places in my house before. And I said, well, touche. Touche. Okay. So then Danny's like, well, why don't we go to the hospital and get a blood test? And I said, okay, now you're taking it too far. I'm with Haley on this one. I literally, my notes say, I am not having blood drawn to appease you. And that's basically what Haley told her. So then Danny kicks her out, and Haley tells her that, time is the only test that they need. Now, over at Garland Memorial, Andre is at the hospital catching up with Ashley. She lets him know, this is gonna be real quick, y'all. She lets him know that Derek moved back in or didn't move back in. And so Andre offered, he's like, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. And he's like, well, let me go buy you breakfast and you can, lean on my shoulder. And so I would want to lean on that shoulder. Okay. But conveniently, Derek walks off the elevator and tells Andre, thanks, but no thanks, because His shoulder is back for her to lean on, okay? And so Ashley explains that now that they decided not to live together, they're better than ever. And so Andre says, "Well, cool. I hope I didn't overstep with my ideas." And so Derek wants to know, "Well, what the hell are you talking about?" And so Ashley tells him, "Well, Andre was just there for me when you left or when we had our, situation because I was a mess." And Andre has to let Derek know that, "Oh yeah, man, I just walked her home and stayed around to make sure she was okay. Once we realized that you weren't there." Um, but he's like, "I'm glad that y'all found each other again." And then he leaves, and of course, we see him leaving. On the way out, he texts Danny, who lets him know that she's at home waiting for him. Um, Now I don't know what y'all thought. Was this a pissing contest between two men, or was Andre just trying to make Derek jealous, or like spark something because he said he was over there? Because I didn't understand why he made that no shade, my neck snapped, and I was like, "Andre, you snitch. What did you need to say that for? Especially if you supposed to be liking me." Weird. Okay, I don't know. Did anybody else capture that and see that, or am I just reaching because I like Andre? But I was just like, "Oh, no. That wasn't cute. That was a character flaw." Alright. So let's move on to down at Offrey Jeans. Kat is on the phone talking about how the first shipment for their purse line has arrived on time, which apparently never happens. So she looks up and she sees Pick Six. And Pick Six says, "I need a restraining order against you, but the court hasn't complied yet." So she lets her know, basically, that she thinks that she's crazy, that Kat is crazy, and how she doesn't like the fact that Kat then got Jacob all up in her business. So Kat calls her Delulu, and then I love when we could sue you for defamation. I said, "Not the defamation, for destroying my character." I said, mm. And so Kat tells Pick Six, "Look, you're playing victim when really you're the villain. Okay." And she tells her that Jacob is a great detective and says once he finds the evidence, it'll be over for her. So Pick Six is like, "Look, he can't find the evidence because I'm innocent. There's no evidence to find." So she said, "You know what, you little spoiled little girl who can't accept the fact that your father loves someone other than your mother." I just set my coffee on that one. And Kat tells her, "You know what? So that's why you was down in my dad's hotel cosplaying, pretending to be Dana, Leslie, Sherry, whoever you wanted to be." She said, "Oh, or no, maybe you created a new one. So you thought that you could seduce him." Six trolls her and says, "You know what? Yeah, I came in the same fit that your daddy used to love to see me in, and we sat there and reminisced on old times." I said, "Oh." So Kat said, "Look, I know my daddy was trying to get away from you, and I know he has more sense than get pulled up into this craziness for a second time." And so Pick Six warns Kat that, "I've been underestimated all my life, and no one ever sees me coming." And she warns her, "So keep your eyes wide open, Kat." And so then Kat's like, "Oh hell no." And finally she decides to get up and leave. Now we're concerned, Catherine. I'm still mad about the last recap, and I'm happy that y'all jumped in the comments and supported me. Okay. I knew I wasn't nuts. Okay. Now, Bill gets a call from Caroline, letting him know the cat is there. And she walks in and tells Tomas that she's looking for legal advice. So Tomas offers is like, "Look, well, let me take you to breakfast." And Bill reminds Tomas on his way out the door about the conversation they had. Wink, wink. You know what I'm saying? And so next in Bill's office, it's like a rotation. It's a rotating door, right? It's Haley, who did anybody notice? And I think it was Elaine um, that brought up the fact that why is Haley never working? I mean, I guess because she screws Bill, maybe that's her job. But as far as a paralegal, we don't see no briefs. We don't see no like we don't never see her really doing nothing but screwing Bill. So I'm just really trying to understand why she don't want to give up the job because she's really not working. That's just my okay. But anyway, so she's there telling him how she went to show Danny her pregnancy test because she was tired of defending herself. And then she even offers to show it to him, and he's like, "No, I am okay on the pissy stick." Okay, he said, "I believe you, because you just got that glow, boo. You got that glow." So then Naomi happens to walk in because remember she was supposed to have lunch with her daddy. I don't know if I mentioned that part earlier, but she had told Anita that she was supposed to have lunch with her daddy. So Bill decides that this is the perfect time for him and Haley to share the news that we're expecting confetti. And so Naomi is going off on if Haley did this intentionally, did she, miss her pills, and then she's giving Bill the business, and your old elderly ass up here having newborns. What are you doing? That is, yeah, she just ain't having it. So then we can tell Bill starts to get a little disoriented and he starts to stutter. Which of course Haley and Naomi start to pick up on, and they're like, "Well, what's wrong with you?" And he's like, "Oh, nothing." And he's trying to play through it, but there's something clearly wrong with Bill at this point. And so then at that point, they're telling him like, "Oh, and I should have, we should have made you go to the doctor and all this other stuff." And at that point, Bill then sat down on the couch and he just still sitting there stuttering. Now, Anita, all right, prepare yourselves. So Anita's reading the letter, and it's apparently my understanding. I did not get the name. I feel like somebody in the comments, and thank you. Because I'm doing this before work. I would go back and look in the comments, but I gotta hurry up. But I believe her name was Barbara. So thank you for dropping that in the comments. Whoever did that, I appreciate you. Anyway, and matter of fact, I'll find it in. But anyway, so apparently she started this group. She reminisces on the past and Caprini Green and and the dreams that they had as young girls, and says that she always admired and loved Anita, but you stole my group. Okay. And she questions if Anita, now mind you, this Anita's reading this. This is, and okay, I know I'm reaching. I'm throwing my hook out there. I'll wait. I'll wait. Okay. I'll wait. So she accuses Anita of using them to get where she wanted, and how they thought they were going to skyrocket after meeting Dante Green. I really need Dante Green to make an appearance. Come to the front. If is there a Dante Green? Come to the front, my brother. Okay. So, um, and yeah, and then she realized that she was she was the problem. So apparently she was kicked out of the group by Dante, and Anita told her, show business is tough and sacrifices have to be made. Um, and then there was nothing that she could do for her. And basically, Barbara talks about how she walked away to all the success they dreamed about, while she had to watch from the sidelines. And then the letter goes on to say how hurt she is. And if she's reading the letter, then she's left this world for a better place. And that is on her. And then we see Anita break down. All right. So let me throw my line out there. And this is the only reason I'm throwing it out there. Did anybody else notice or recognize the voice? And the only reason I say that, and again, I could be reaching, to me, the voice sounded like June. And maybe they just had June's character read it, and that could be in it. There could be no connection whatsoever. And maybe Barbara really is gone. Okay. But wouldn't that be a crazy plot twist if Barbara ends up being June? Wouldn't that be crazy? I'm just saying. But anyway, if we're gonna go with the narrative that's being painted, another thing that's probably unpopular opinion, and I want to tread lightly for and trigger, or trigger warning for anybody who has been through this. My condolences. I can only imagine. But the one thought that I had was, can Anita really blame herself for that? Like, yes, she can feel guilty and feel like she had a part in it, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. And like I said, y'all can weigh in the comments. I don't think that it's Anita's fault that Barbara's not here is what I'm saying. And do I think that she could have played a part in her depression, um, in her mental state, and what she, you know what I mean? I absolutely. However, I think to take that weight on yourself, um, will have you breaking down like Anita was breaking down. And I can only imagine living with that weight and that guilt a good part of your life. So I can understand if maybe why she pushed it back in the back of her mind. Because at the end of the day, what I'm saying is I don't think Anita was responsible for that. It's not like she went and unalive Barbara with their own two hands. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. Y'all may disagree. I may have unpopular opinion, but that's what we're here to do. Let's just be respectful in the comments. All right. So then let's move on to DNA. Again, unfortunately, they're having a conversation, but this is a Tuesday. Was Tuesday's episode, so it's to be expected. We're gonna get some filler inners, right? But I actually did like this scene. So they're having a conversation about Andre, and Ashley keeps asking, because Derek's like, yeah, Andre's kind of cool, and that's dope that he kind of talked you off the ledge when we were going through it. And he's like, you should invite him out with next time we go out with Naomi and Jacob. And so she's like, are y'all supposed to be friends now? And he was like, I'm just saying, he cool. So then Pick Six walks in, and she says hello to Ashley and said, how is Jan doing? Okay. And Ashley make it clear, look, I know that my mama ain't talking to you no more. Okay. And neither am I. So Pick Six says, your mother would do anything for you, Ashley. And I was just doing the same for Eva. And so then, how was Laura doing? And Ashley said, oh, so you thought I was going to break confidentiality so that you can go hurt Laura again? She said, nah, we ain't stupid. But then she goes and tells her, this is again irritation. Then she goes and tells her, by the way, the hospital changed all their protocols because of you. How much information are we just going to freely give to this woman when we know she's clearly a crazy criminal? I don't understand. I get it. It's a soap. I'm just saying. Sometimes the common sense makes my head hurt. You know what I mean? Um, so so Pick Six is oh, those accusations are hurtful. And then she starts telling on herself about how she's worried about being entrapped and wants to know where the security footage is going, and who manages it and all this other stuff. Erica's like, why do you need to know all that? She's like, because of Kat Richardson. And she's trying to use it against me. And so Ashley mentions, well, it sounds like there's something on that footage that you don't want the police to find. And so Derek tells Pick Six it's time to go. And he's like, look, he stands up on her because she tries to like actually put some pressure on Ashley. You know what I'm saying? Like she was trying to buck up on Ashley. And so Derek said, that's not what we're going to do. So at this moment, Ashley takes the time because now she got her bodyguard. So she's like, if you turn yourself in to the police, they may take it easy on you. It kind of tickled me a little bit because then you see Pick Six. She's like, you lucky. This big white YT man is standing in front of me. She said, I'm a leave, but I'm gonna keep talking. Okay, I'm gonna keep talking. Um, so then we see the scene with Tomas and Kat, and they're at the country club, and she's telling him all about Pick Six threatening legal action against her. And so Tomas lets her know basically that she doesn't have a case, and he mentions that I'm surprised you even came to me. So he asks, he's like, why didn't you go to he asked her, why didn't you go to Naomi? Is everything cool? And Kat says, well, I just didn't want to put her in an awkward situation, and be criticizing her husband on how slow he's moving. And so Tomas realizes that, oh, so you haven't talked to Naomi at all. And so she asked Tomas if he would take the case. And he said, honestly, no, not a chance. So of course she's a little taken aback by that. And Tomas explains to Kat that you won't be able to hold anything against Pick Six unless there's an eyewitness putting her at the scene of the crime. And of course, this just makes Kat frustrated. All right. So Andre shows up. Um, and oh, this is the last scene. This was quick. So Andre shows up and Danny has smoke for him because he turned her down last time that she wanted some cutty. Okay. They wanted some sex. They wanted some sex. Okay. And so Danny starts going through, where and who he was with. And he was like, no, no, no. You lied and said that you didn't care. And she admits it, I did. So then she starts going on about Haley being pregnant, and the fact that she's convinced that she's faking it. And then she talks about, she goes down memory lane about Bill and how he's just so caring when you're pregnant and all the things that he does. And Andre said, I'm honestly, respectfully, I am not interested in listening to you obsess about Bill and Haley. Okay. So he tells her to spend more time paying attention to what's in front of her, which is him, who actually gives a damn. So Andre tells her, Danny, that he's moving into a place where he doesn't want to be in a relationship where there's no strings attached anymore. Okay. He's growing past that. And so Danny was like, well, what happened to make you feel that way? And he says, Ted and Nicole, because he feels like they were the blueprint of real love. And so I don't know, somehow they get into a back and forth because obviously Danny still doesn't want to be serious. She can't because she's still not over Bill. Shout out to Tassan. It's still very apparent. Andre's like, you should let me love you. Let me be the one to give you everything you want and need. That's what he said, essentially. But Danny wasn't hearing it. Okay. And so, and then we see, and this is how I personally feel like, how he really feels for Danny. Because when she tries to be like, all right, we done, because I can't have you waiting on me. And I can't, I can't tell you how long I'm gonna be like this, but I can tell you I'm not over it. And he's like, no, I'm cool with it. However it is, he's not willing to let her go. I loved it. I loved it, y'all. I loved it. And so, yeah, he pretty much just professes his love for her and, tells her when I first got here, this was supposed to be like a drive through. And he said, but nah, I'm trying to stay. Baby, won't you just stay? Oh, for a little while. I'm sorry. It's early in the morning, so my jukebox is really turning, okay? And so basically he tells her, he's willing to wait for her. And I said, that was a very cute scene. If I missed anything, y'all, like I said, I apologize. I'm doing this before work. And I'm about to get off here so I can get dressed and go sit in traffic so I can go to my office. All right. But I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all so much for being here and all the support. I love, 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 love y'all. All my BTG Shade Squad. Make sure that you guys have your notification bells on. We are going live tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, to discuss all things Beyond the Gates and give our predictions for Friday. All right. So if you have not already, please make sure that you've hit that like button. Make sure that you comment. Make sure that you subscribe. Oh, what the hell was that? And make sure you hit the notification bell. And make sure that you guys are following us on all the platforms. That's the Blue Sky. You know, I will be on there live skying today. The Facebook, the IG, and the TikTok. Okay. And yeah, I will catch you tomorrow. Well, today actually, for episode 66. This is crazy how fast it's moving, but I'll catch y'all for episode 66 a little later today or early tomorrow. Bye bye.